He's old. He's arthritic.
Based on the true story.
I'm sorry, Jimmy. It's over.
Just give me another fight.
When a man needed a second chance.
He said I'm through. There can't be a boxer no more.
His family.
I'm always behind you.
Gave him the courage to defy the odds.
I got you a fight.
From director Ron Howard.
I see what I'm seeing.
Where the hell did that come from?
And producer Brian Grazer.
Say the paper's getting all sorts of letters from people saying you're their inspiration.
Sometimes you see something in a fighter. You don't even know if it's real.
You beat this guy easy last time.
Yeah, the same guy.
Russell Crowe.
Gonna be the next champ, Jimmy.
Max Bears killed 2 men in the ring. Are you scared for your husband's life?
Renee Zellweger.
What's worth it, Jimmy? What's worth it?
I have to believe that if things are bad, that we can change them.
Don't you let him take this away from your kids.
What a fight! Unbelievable!
Cinderella Man, rated PG-13. In theaters Friday, June 3rd.
So in the film, Russell Crowe plays James J. Braddock, who's a boxer who became very poor during the Great Depression, but he doesn't give up. He fights hard and wins the heavyweight boxing championship, making people feel hopeful. His story shows that you can overcome tough times with courage and hard work. And sadly, this was a movie that got overshadowed by some pretty bad press from Russell Crowe in general. I mean, this is part of a thing where, you know, when they were making the movie, there was a big controversy. It's actually when the movie was coming out, there was this big controversy with Russell Crowe. Like, quite literally, after the movie came out, there was an event where he was arrested and charged for second-degree assault by the New York Police Department after he threw a telephone at the concierge at the Mercer Hospital, who had refused to help him place a call when the system did not work in Crowe's room. And he was charged with fourth-degree criminal possession of a weapon, and the concierge was treated for a facial laceration. And he pled guilty, was conditionally discharged, and he ended up settling in the lawsuit for the concierge. And in terms of the settlement, we're not disclosed, but this is already a guy that already faced a lot of controversy beforehand because of what he did during the time that A Beautiful Mind came out, which basically essentially cost him the Academy Award, winning another Academy Award for Best Actor. And here's another movie that was overshadowed by the bad publicity, which it didn't help that the film was not a big hit financially, but the film itself is really good. It's a really damn good movie. It's Ron Howard doing what Ron Howard does well. He works very well with Crowe the last time on A Beautiful Mind. I think this is overall their probably their best film together. And a lot of people did really believe that. There was a thing that happened around the time where it started with AMC theaters. So they basically had this thing going on where, to help boost the ticket sales of the movie, they would offer a refund to any ticket buyer who didn't like the movie. And the advertisement was in the New York Times and a lot of other papers. AMC Theaters did this, and then Cinemark Theaters did it also as well. AMC tried to do something similar to something with Mystic Pizza back in 1988, and then 20th Century Fox tried to do the same thing for the remake of Miracle on 34th Street in 94. Both really good movies, but yeah, you can kind of see that it didn't really help the box office in general. The film was still kind of seen as a bomb in the U.S., with making $61 million alone here. But when you take the worldwide grosses, it did make its budget back in general, but it was still seen, unfortunately, as a flop at the box office. But the movie itself is a really good movie. It's a great film. Russell Crowe really shows what he can do what he still can do as an actor in general. Paul Giamatti breaks out big time in this movie. He really is great in this. He got an Oscar nomination for Best Supporting Actor. This is a really good movie. It's definitely one of Ron Howard's more underrated films. A film that definitely deserves a lot more attention back then. And it's a film that is really good. It's one of the best boxing movies ever. Not quite Raging Bull, but it's definitely very high up there in general. It's a really good film. Just a good enjoyable sports drama. Definitely a film that deserves a lot more attention, and really one you should definitely check out. I highly recommend Cinderella Man. So with that said, let's go ahead and move on to the next movie, and that is the ensemble, The Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants.
We were best friends, and about to spend our first summer apart. How about the swings? You try that. But a pair of pants would keep us together.
You think that a pair of jeans that fits all three of you is going to fit all of this?
This summer, we'll share them equally, and they'll travel among us.
That just seems really, really stupid. I mean, yeah, they're best friends and all, but all of them sharing the same pair of pants over the course of the summer, that raises a lot of questions. I'm like Val Kilmer, Batman Forever. It just raises too many questions. But As you can see here, this is based off of a book of the same name, where you have America Ferrera, Amber Tamblyn, Blake Lively, and Alexis Bledel, and they are best friends who buy a mysterious pair of pants that fits each of them despite their differing sizes, and they share the pants equally as they spend their first summer apart. A premise like this could be really, really stupid, but when you have a cast as good as this, you know, America Ferrera, who was just about to break out with Ugly Betty, Amber Tamblyn, who was in the criminally underrated Joan of Arcadia, Blake Lively, who was slowly but surely building her career up, and Alexis Bledel from Gilmore Girls. You got 4 very good, talented actresses, a good director in Ken Kwapis, who's made some pretty good movies as well, and you have a good story that works because you do like the camaraderie between the 4 of them, and they do have a lot of good adventures on their journeys. Like, you know, Alexis Bledel goes to Greece. You know, America Ferrera's character, you know, she works at a discount department store, and she delivers this. She basically goes to find this young girl who faints and calls an ambulance. You have this one girl who's in South Carolina, and the other girl is in soccer camp, and you don't think there's really a whole lot of stories you could tell with this, but the stories they tell are very well done. They're very interesting, and they have a lot of good acting going on there to make you very intrigued and interested in what's happening in the situations. And I think the movie works very well. It's a film that I personally would probably have never given a second thought to, but because of the talent there, because of the ideas, because of the fact that there was something in there that a lot of people said you should definitely see, I can definitely see it. It's a film that is engaging. It's an entertaining movie. It's a film that I would say is specifically tailored for a teen girl audience, but if you can go into it with the right mindset and want to see a movie with 4 very good, young, talented stars in the making, you can go into it and enjoy it for what it is. It's not a movie that I would say go out and check it out, but if you have the right mindset to it and you can stand a movie like this, definitely check it out. I think it's one that definitely deserves a lot more attention than I think it gets. It's a film that's good, not great overall, but it works because of the 4 main leads. It's a really solid film. I do recommend it. The Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants. So with that said, on to the last movie we have here. Personally, my favorite movie of the whole weekend, and that is Lords of Dogtown. Notice right off the bat, it's a real rarity because this is a film that's not only produced by TriStar Pictures, but Columbia Pictures, even though they're under the same umbrella of Sony Pictures in general. So, but this is one of the few times you ever see the 2 studios actually working together on a movie. So this movie is essentially, there was a documentary that came out a couple of years ago called Dogtown and Z-Boys, and this is kind of like a scripted biographical dramatic version of it that captures the rise of skateboard culture in the 1970s, where you follow Stacy Peralta, who wrote the script for this, who's a key figure in the skateboarding community, and chronicles the lives of the Z-Boys, a group of young skateboarders who revolutionized the sport with their aggressive style and innovative tricks. The story focuses on the lives of the 3 skateboarders, Tony Alva, Peralta, and Jay Adams, as they navigate fame, rivalry, and personal challenges, and it explores the impact of commercialization of the sport and the lives of its practitioners, despite mixed reviews. The film did eventually go on to have a cult following, despite not doing well at the box office or getting the best reviews in general, and it has been recognized as an authentic portrayal of skateboarding culture and its history. I'm not really a skateboarding type of person, but I did play a lot of Tony Hawk Pro Skater back in the day, and I know who Tony Hawk is, obviously, and a lot of other BMX people like Matt Hoffman, mostly because I've seen him on Jackass. Bam Margera was one of them, but this is a really good, underrated movie. This is directed by Catherine Hardwicke, who gave us 13, and her next movie was going to be The Nativity Story, followed by Twilight. This is a really good movie. This is a really good film that definitely shows what she can do as a director as a whole, and not just be tied down to something like the Twilight movies. You got a great cast that includes Emile Hirsch from The Girl Next Door, Victor Rashuk, John Robinson, Johnny Knoxville, Heath Ledger, Rebecca De Mornay. Heath Ledger going to have a great year in 2005, as we'll see later on. Michael Angarano, Nikki Reed. Just a really strong cast overall, and a really engaging storyline that just keeps you invested in the situations at hand, and just shows you, like, it just shows what a lot of the really good efforts goes into this with, like, capturing the feel of the 1970s. Like, we're going to have a couple movies this year that feel like that. We'll get to Robots later in the year, which is another criminally underrated little gem. But even if you're not the biggest skateboarding person and want a good character-driven film, this film is definitely it. It's a great film that really shows its strong cast overall, a really good story to tell, and it's very interesting how they handle the situations here. Even if you never saw the original Dogtown and Z-Boys, you can still find a lot to admire about this movie from the acting alone. Like, it's a movie like The Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants. Even if you don't really care for the source material itself, you'll want to see the movie because of the actors at hand, because they really do carry the load of the film. It's a really fantastic film, and one I do recommend checking out. It's probably, like I said, my favorite movie of the entire week. Definitely a very underrated little gem. Definitely one worth seeking out. Lords of Dogtown, I do recommend it highly. Check it out.
Meet Mrs. Smith.
Have you been a bad boy?
Yeah?
Have you violated international law?
No?
You guys playing poker? Just want to play a few games if you're interested.
Meet Mr. Smith.
What, are you looking for a job or something?
You are the job. Pair threes. They are the world's most deadly assassins. Their identities are a secret. Even from each other.
Did you do something new?
I added peas.
Ah, peace. She was mesmerizing. She was unpredictable. Now, there's no mystery.
There's this huge space between us, and it just keeps filling up.
Hello, John. I need your expertise.
I can get 2 hours to kill.
The target is a direct threat to the firm.
Gotta be kidding.
It's unbelievable.
This part is not your wife, she's the enemy.
She tried to kill me.
They all try to kill you. Slowly, painfully, cripplingly. How are you gonna handle it?
I'm gonna borrow this.
I like where your head's at.
Sweetheart.
This summer, love
You still alive, baby?
gets lethal.
Hey, John. Hey, Bill. Are you all right? Yeah. Have a good night.
From Doug Liman, director of The Bourne Identity, Brad Pitt,
Come on, sweetheart. Come to daddy.
Angelina Jolie,
Who's your daddy now?
Mr. and Mrs. Smith.
Daddy!
Mom! We're on high alert here! I almost killed you right there!
I mean, what more do I have to say about this movie that hasn't already been said already? You got Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie starring as a bored middle-class married couple who are surprised to learn that they are assassins, belonging to competing agencies, and that they have been assigned to kill each other. And of course you see Vince Vaughn in there among the cast, as well as Kerry Washington and Adam Brody. But let's get to what everyone wants me to talk about, and that is the fact that this was the movie that was highly publicized because of the relationship that began to grow between Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie. And Brad Pitt was married to Jennifer Aniston at the time, and then early in 2005, Brad and Jennifer split up, and many people believe it was because of this movie, and it became the big thing that everyone was talking about besides the film itself. And not only that, Vince Vaughn, I guess in kind of a revenge to Brad Pitt, decided to go ahead and date Jennifer Aniston, and then they would star in a movie together the following year with the breakup. We'll get to that one next year, but yeah, this movie was mostly highly publicized because of the real life relationship that grew with Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie. And when you see the movie, you can see why there was such a buzz about them, because the chemistry in this movie between them is really good. The movie really is very cool and very good, like a very stylized, action-packed movie. You could tell this was directed by the same guy that did The Bourne Identity, and yeah, it's just a really good movie, and it's like a mix between True Lies and War of the Roses, except in the case of True Lies, both the husband and the wife are working for the government, are working as secret agents in here instead of just Arnold Schwarzenegger in the War of the Roses, because they want to kill each other. They have to kill each other by the end of the movie. And yeah, like I said, it's a stylish, cool movie. I mean, Angelina Jolie is the sexiest she's been up to this point. I mean, good lord, like, I mean, she really is that beautiful in this movie. I mean, but then again, you put her in sexy lingerie, that's it for me. I'm good. But she's really good in the movie. Brad Pitt's really good in the movie. Vince Vaughn has some good, funny moments too. The action sequences are a ton of fun. The comedy is very good. It's just a really good, fun movie all the way through. It's a film that is just so cool, so stylish, so engaging. It's hard to believe this was written by the same guy that would destroy the X-Men series as a whole later on down the road, Simon Kinberg. Like, it's one of his few good. It's probably one of the few good movies he's ever made as a filmmaker as a whole. And hey, he made it work. And film was a huge success, not surprisingly, and it actually led to a television series that's currently on Amazon Prime with Donald Glover and Maya Erskine, which I've only seen a couple of episodes of, but it's pretty good. It's actually really good. Plus, it's Donald Glover, so of course it's going to work. But yeah, it's a really good movie. I really like it a lot. Mr. and Mrs. Smith, what more do I got to say? Good, fun, stylish, cool action movie. Brad Pitt, Angelina Jolie. So yeah, moving on to the next movie we have here. A movie that some might say is stylish, but some might also say that it's garbage too. That is The Adventures of Shark Boy and Lava Girl.
There's no such thing as Shark Boy and Lava Girl.
No one believes Max's stories. This is the real world. Now, with the help of Shark Boy and Lava Girl, he'll show the world
We can't control it. What do we do?
Scream.
the true power of dreams.
Most dreams don't come true on their own. You have to make them true.
From the director of Spy Kids.
Kids need their dreams. I don't believe it.
The Adventures of Shark Boy and Lava Girl in 3D, rated PG. In theaters Friday, June 10th.
Oh, no. You thought I was kidding. No. This was written by the kids of Robert Rodriguez. The story comes from his 8-year-old son, Rysher Max. And if you watch the movie, you can tell this was clearly written by an 8-year-old. The whole film's idea was written by an 8-year-old boy. And so as you see from the trailer there, Max is a normal kid with a dreaming habit making him a target for bullies. One day he accidentally summons his imaginary character from his mind named Shark Boy and Lava Girl. They are his heroes who will defend him at all costs, but when they arrive for real, something unexpected happens. The two heroes need Max's help to save the world from a dire threat. And yeah, this movie is all over the place. It's gonzo nuts, and not in a good way either. This isn't like Spy Kids, where Spy Kids can go gonzo crazy and can usually be fun at times, at least with the first two movies. This movie feels like this movie feels like Robert Rodriguez said, well, I made Spy Kids. I mean, if people will buy into that, surely they'll buy into a movie is created by my kids. And yeah, nobody really went into this movie expecting that. The film went on to become a massive flop at the box office, but did go on to have a cult following and even had a standalone legacy sequel in it with called We Can Be Heroes, which I've never seen. I have no intentions of ever seeing it, but Taylor Lautner's in it. Pre-Twilight, back when he had hope for his career. George Lopez, David Arquette, Kristen Davis. Just ridiculously stupid, over-the-top stupidness. I mean, really, that's all this movie really is. It's just nonsense. It's just nonsense all the way through. It's a lackluster film. It just doesn't work all the way through. Like, it's too crazy for its own good. This is when Robert Rodriguez had was on kind of a downward spiral a little bit here, even though he had just done Sin City just a couple months prior to this. But this was where most of he was getting more misses than hits, but pretty much, because every movie that came after this, sometimes you get a little gem here and there, like a Planet Terror or a Machete or a Sin City, A Dame to Kill For. But other than that, though, his career really started to take a nosedive, starting with this movie, and yeah, it just didn't work for me. So moving on to our next movie, and this one's going to be fun to talk about. Let's talk about The Honeymooners.
Ralph Cramden's not just a bus driver. He's a man of vision. This country was built on half-ass schemes. Like the guy who came up with the dog. He ran out of material and used what he had. Ed Norton's not just a sanitation engineer.
I'm a specialist. It's like I'm a brain surgeon, a Spider-Man.
He's a man of action. Two schemers.
Look at them over there. If I get to believe they're over there talking about religion or politics, you know all they really care about is...
Beyonce is more peach-shaped. Like the way Shaka Khan used to be back in the day.
Who've been searching everywhere.
Hey, sweet face.
Mom?
I thought you were Alice.
That's exactly what a pervert would say.
For their one big break.
Damn, that dog can run. Norton, that's it. We race thinking.
The dog's a straight-up dud.
This summer,
Table setting for 3. Does that mean he's gonna be here?
He lives here.
Not for long. If Jesus will quit making movies and answer the prayers of a righteous woman.
think big.
We gotta get on some cash. Jeannie Lincoln. Remember we went on a date and it was supposed to be Dutch, but I paid. You got that $10 for the movie?
And go for your dreams.
We're gonna sing a lot of your favorite tunes tonight.
You hired these guys as entertainment?
Cedric the Entertainer.
There's something really, really wrong with you.
One day you are gonna push me too far.
The only thing that can push you is a bulldozer.
Mike Epps.
I don't believe we've had the pleasure.
No, we haven't had the pleasure, because if we had been pleasured, I think we'd have known about it.
Gabrielle Union. Regina Hall.
Go on, Alice. You gotta admit your man is trying.
Money for the blind. Anything can help. Got a blind dog.
The Honeymooners.
Well, I'm gonna die. I gotta confess something to you. One day I was coming down on the fire escape and I seen Alice naked. And sometimes I think about it.
So yeah, this is a film that was heavily panned when it came out. Yeah, it was a film that was tossed around for a number of years, sitting on a shelf at Paramount, so usually that's not a very good sign. In the film, based off the popular television show, you have the Cramdens and the Nortons, who are working-class neighbors. Bus driver Ralph Cramden, played here by Cedric the Entertainer, and sewer worker Ed Norton, played by Mike Epps, are best friends. Ralph is constantly masterminding get-rich-quick schemes with which Ed tries to help. The driving force behind them is their wives, Alice Cramden, played by Gabrielle Union, and Trixie Norton, played by Regina Hall. The men are trying to make enough money to afford the homes they think they and their wives deserve. Meanwhile, Alex and Trixie make ends meet by waitressing at the local diner. So yeah, it's pretty much straightforward, The Honeymooners, except instead of Jackie Gleason, Art Carney, Audrey Meadows, and who's the last who played Trixie? I think I'm going to have to look. Joyce Randolph. I wouldn't have gotten that one, but it's basically that, except it's modernized, and instead of them being white, they're black. And, you know, everyone hates this movie. I think Roger Ebert was one of the only few people to give it a good review. And I think me and Roger have something in common, because I don't hate this movie. In fact, I would say it's not a bad movie. It's not a great movie, but it's not one of the worst adaptations of a TV show. It's not even the worst one that came out in 2005. Just wait until we get to the Dukes of Hazzard. That's one we can delve into. But this, I got what they were trying to do. I think the casting helped stage the movie a little bit. Cedric the Entertainer's pretty good. Mike Epps, Gabrielle Union, Regina Hall, having them play these roles, I think it works out for them. I could buy Gabrielle Union and Cedric the Entertainer as a Ralph and Alice in here. I can buy Mike Epps and Regina Hall as Ed and Trixie. I think the problem with the movie is this shouldn't be a movie. Like, really, it should not be a movie. Like, this could probably work as a television series. Like, if CBS... Like, if this is something I would think CBS would try to do with The Honeymooners nowadays. Like, make it into a television series. Because when you're trying to do this into a movie, this is one of those shows that really does not need a movie in general. There's nothing really that you can do with this with a movie based off The Honeymooners. Even if you casted white people in it, like, there really is not that much of a difference between, you know, casting black. There's not really a difference between making a television series of 4 episodes of this instead of just making a feature-length film out of it. I think that was the biggest mistake of all with the film, was making this into a movie, because there's not really much you can do with The Honeymooners as a feature film. But when you really look at it, they do the best they can to try to keep it in the spirit of the original series. They're doing the best they can to try to modernize it for a new generation. And I think for 9 times out of 10, it works okay. It's not great. It doesn't do anything that spectacular. But even in the trailer at the end, the stuff they have in there is pretty funny. Like, I like the idea that, I like the idea of Ralph and Ed trying to pretend they're blind. They're just like, we got a blind dog, and they put the glasses on the dog. Like, that's funny stuff. Them, Ed talking about how he sees Alice naked to Ralph, and he's just like, sometimes I think about her, and Ralph ready to kill her. Like, that's funny stuff. That's stuff that actually does get a good laugh from me. And there are a lot of that. There was a lot of that throughout the course of the movie. Not every joke works. Like, the stuff with the mother-in-law gets pretty old pretty quickly. I mean, and it also doesn't help that the only particular version out there is a family-friendly PG version of it, and it's the only version you can get on DVD or Blu-ray. The PG-13 version I don't think has ever been released, which I guess why. I understand it, because this film was not a big hit, and Paramount pretty much dumped it as soon as it got out there. I mean, they put it in the middle of the biggest summer blockbusters, for God's sakes. But, like I said, it's not a bad movie. It's a decent, enjoyable film. I'm not going to say it's a classic movie by any means necessary, but considering that Cedric the Entertainer has not made a lot of great movies as an actor, this is probably one of the few ones that I would say I actually did kind of enjoy. I liked this one a lot. As a good, fun movie. It's because this was the year when we had, the honeymoon. We had the Honeymooners. We're going to have the Dukes of Hazzard in a couple months. But we also have Bewitched coming up at the end of the month, which is another movie that got severely thrashed by critics, and I don't think it really deserved that either. But we'll get to that in a couple weeks, aka a couple days from this point. But I actually like this movie. I like it enough to say it's a good, fun time if you go into it with the right mindset. Compare this to movies like Soul Plane, The Cookout, Malibu's Most Wanted, King's Ransom. This movie is definitely a million times better than those movies, because I got good, legitimate laughs out of this. I got what they were trying to do. There was at least an effort being put into it to at least keep this in the spirit of the original Honeymooners TV series. And for the most part, I thought it worked okay. It's not a classic movie by any means necessary, but if you go into it with the right mindset, if you go into it knowing that you should be going into getting a much better movie than you think you would, I think you will get that. I think there is a lot to like about the film. Like I said, not a classic by any means necessary, but certainly a million times better than a lot of other movies of this type, and one that I would say is definitely worth a watch. I'm probably going to be one of the few people out there to say that this movie actually is somewhat good, but hey, I'll stick with it. More power to it. I'm still the guy that says the Disney Star Wars era is much better than what George Lucas left behind with the prequels, and let me see if I can remember to actually put the like to dislike ratio on this one. Let me see. Yeah. That was from my video I did a couple months ago about how I thought Star Wars was better under Disney. 1 like, 9 dislikes. I still don't get it. But then again, it's the internet. But yeah, that's the Honeymooners. So with that said, on to the next movie. Cecile de France in the horror film High Tension.
Someone is hunting everyone around her. Friday, she will make him pay. Rated R. Theaters everywhere Friday.
Well, I guess when they call it in France hot tension, like it's called Hot Tension, but it's also called Switchblade Romance in some other countries. But this is a French slasher film directed by Alexandre Aja, who the following year would make the remake of The Hills Have Eyes. And in it, you have 2 female students who drive to one of the family's secluded farmhouses to study for their exams, where a murderer shows up on the night of their arrival. So it's basically a slasher movie in general, but a pretty good one, too. It's a really intense, graphic, pretty cool, stylish-looking horror movie that isn't just a typical slasher film in general. This isn't like another Friday the 13th retread. It kind of has its own unique style to it, and I think the performances by Cecile de France and Mai Wen overall work pretty well for the film's intentions, and I think the film overall can be a ton of fun and really show a lot of really cool, stylish, over-the-top violence that works to the film's advantage. It's got this cool look to it, very stylized, very cool. I really liked it. High tension, hot tension, if you will. So, on to the last film, Howl's Moving Castle.
There is a mysterious place.
Incredible!
Where magic is real.
Scorch marks. How? Can you read them?
That is ancient sorcery.
And every door leads you.
We need to take off!
To an extraordinary new world. You've never seen anything like Howl's Moving Castle. Rated PG. Starts June 10th in select cities.
This is Studio Ghibli's follow-up to their Oscar-winning success with Spirited Away, and in this movie, You have the film set in a fictional kingdom where both magic and early 20th century technology are prevalent. Against the backdrop of a war with another kingdom, it tells the story of Sophie, a young milliner who is turned into an elderly woman by a witch who enters her shop and curses her. She encounters a wizard named Hal and gets caught up in his resistance to fight for the king. You have a cast that includes, the English dub version includes Emily Mortimer, Gene Simmons, Christian Bale, Lauren Bacall, Billy Crystal, Blythe Danner, Jenna Malone, Josh Hutcherson. Strong cast overall in the movie, and the film, I remember, actually did not get the best reviews when it came out initially. Most people did praise the movie for its animation, and of course, it's Hayao Miyazaki. Of course, the animation is going to look great, but I remember the film actually getting a lot of mixed reviews when it came out. But it has gone on to have this big following, and has become known as a significant one of their most significant movies in general. And I don't know, I thought it was pretty good when it came out, and I still like it now. It's a film that is really good, and of all things, it's actually inspired by Miyazaki's opposition to the Iraq War, of all things. And hey, it's a pretty cool idea. It's a pretty interesting idea to make a movie based off of that, and it works very well. You got a strong cast overall. The characters are really cool. Christian Bale, I think, is very fun as Hal himself. It's just a really cool, stylish film. Yeah, it doesn't have the same grandiose atmosphere, something like Spirited Away, but there's a lot of cool things about the film. The castle moving is really cool. You see a lot of steampunk elements being thrown in there. It's just a really fun, stylish film that, yeah, maybe not... I think people were expecting yet another Spirited Away type of film, but Spirited Away is such a unique film on its own merits, not because of just the animation, but because of the storytelling, through the visuals, and just how scenes in that movie can just work without anybody talking. The scene inside the bus alone, with all the spirits in there, still is one of the best scenes of animation I've ever seen. This movie doesn't have those type of moments in there, but the film is still really impressive to look at. It's still a very stylized, cool film. And it's Hayao Miyazaki, man. Like, the guy very rarely misses his mark. He's only missed his mark one time, and that's when he went all CG with that rock movie he did. What was it called? I'm trying to remember if I can. I'm trying to see if I can remember it without. What was it? Now I can't remember it, but maybe it wasn't him. Maybe he was just a producer on it. Earwig and the Witch is what I'm thinking of here. Maybe he was just maybe he wasn't completely involved in it. Maybe he was just a producer on it. But as far as the director goes, Hayao Miyazaki very rarely misses. And here's one where he shows that he's still got it. He's still got it. Yeah, not much more to say about it. Definitely check this one out. Howl's Moving Castle.
They told me there was nothing out there. Nothing to fear. But the night my parents were murdered, I caught a glimpse of something. I've looked for it ever since. I went around the world. Searched in all the shadows. And there is something out there in the darkness. Something terrifying. Something that will not stop until it gets revenge. Me.
When that trailer first comes up, it's just like, oh my god, it's finally happening, you know. So it's been 8 years since the last Batman movie. They've been trying to make all these different other Batman movies. There was going to be another one by Joel Schumacher, which got turned down. There was going to be a Batman vs. Superman movie with Wolfgang Peterson attached to it. They were literally going to do a Batman Beyond movie with Darren Aronofsky to direct it. Those movies never got off the ground, unfortunately. And without real competition from DC between Batman and Robin and this, Marvel was able to step in pretty quickly after 1997 and started establishing superhero franchises of their own, with the most successful ones being Blade, X-Men, and Spider-Man. And DC knew that it had to get back into the game if it was going to have any chance of competing with Marvel, so they had to get right back to it. Started off slow with a double whammy in terms of the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen and Catwoman. Slowly they started to show their promise with a little bit of stuff seen in Constantine. But this was the movie that literally kicked it back off again. Batman Begins. Christopher Nolan, who had just directed Insomnia for Warner Brothers, nobody really knew him as a director yet, but this was the movie that was going to prove to everybody that this guy was going to become the future of movies in general. So in Batman Begins, when his parents were killed, millionaire playboy Bruce Wayne, played here by Christian Bale, relocates to Asia when he's mentored by Henry Ducard, played by Liam Neeson, and Ra's al Ghul, played by Ken Watanabe, in How to Fight Evil. When learning about the plan to wipe out evil in Gotham City by Ducard, Bruce prevents this plan from getting any further by heading back to his home. Back in his original surroundings, Bruce adopts the image of a bat to strike fear into the criminals and the corrupt as the icon known as Batman. But it doesn't stay quiet for too long. You have a cast that also includes Michael Caine as Alfred, Katie Holmes as Rachel Dawes, Gary Oldman as Officer Jim Gordon, Cillian Murphy as Jonathan Crane, a.k.a. the Scarecrow, Tom Wilkinson as Carmine Falcone, and Morgan Freeman as Lucius Fox. And talk about a great return to form for Batman following Batman and Robin, with the right people involved to take this comic book universe and make it not only pure as realistic as it can be, but to make these characters exist in the real world and make it seem plausible. Watching the origins of Bruce Wayne coming to be Batman is really fascinating to watch in this movie. And to just see the evolution of this normal guy who lost his parents, who would later become the slick badass we know as Batman, it's incredible. And Christian Bale does a really good job of it. And in this movie, and all three of the Batman movies he appeared in, he actually makes Batman sound like how Batman should sound, and not making him sound like he's smoking a huge pack of Marlboros. I mean, just watch the scene in here and tell me I'm wrong about this.
You could die. At least tell me your name.
It's not who I am underneath, but what I do that defines me.
Bruce?
Now, granted, yeah, that was basically Bruce telling Rachel, yeah, I'm Batman, but hey, she's the one that asked. But, yeah, that voice he gives is much better and more properly handled than this one that he gives in the other movies. Like in The Dark Knight and The Dark Knight Rises, it becomes a little bit more quieter and just kind of feels like, I don't know. In this movie, though, it's perfect. Christian Bale is the badass actor that we've come to respect him for over the years. You know, Michael Keaton and Kevin Conroy will always stand out as the ultimate Batman. Even though Robert Pattinson and Ben Affleck were good Batman when they got their chance to play it. But Christian Bale, at least in this first film, pulls it off really well. Liam Neeson and Cillian Murphy make for really good villains in the film, going back to the idea of having two villains with Ra's al Ghul and Scarecrow. Both of them are very effective villains, carrying a lot of the load, which makes them great villains in the comics as well as the animated adaptations. I like Michael Caine's Alfred a lot. He's a much more developed and more emotionally interpreted, and with a more emotional interpretation of Bruce's butler than what we had seen in previous adaptations. We've seen good adaptations of Alfred in other movies. We just had it with Andy Serkis in The Batman, and then, of course, with Ephraim Zimbalist in Batman the Animated Series. Here he treats Bruce like his son, obviously, because he realizes that he's the only family that Bruce has left. I like Morgan Freeman's Lucius Fox. He's perfectly handled, the only way Morgan Freeman can do it. Gary Oldman, what more can you say about him? He's just pitch perfect as Jim Gordon. He's incredible, and aside from Bale, he gives the strongest performance in the movie. And then there's the big question mark. Katie Holmes as Rachel Dawes. Some people like her, some people hate her. Me, personally, I thought she was okay. I thought she was good in the movie. I think that, keep in mind, this was when she was with Tom Cruise. They were getting married around that time. I think all that negativity was coming from that in particular, and honestly, it's a real dumb excuse. Holmes is a great actress, but I'm not going to say that she's on the level of somebody like, Julia Roberts or Jennifer Lawrence or Meryl Streep. Like, she's a great actress. We've seen her. She's a good actress that we've seen in many good movies. Pieces of April, Wonder Boys, The Gift, The Singing Detective. We'll see her in the next year in Thank You for Smoking. She's doing the job she's supposed to be doing. She's being the damsel in distress, but at the same time, trying to be above the normal damsel in distress that we used to seeing. And it's not like her acting is terrible, but, yeah. I'm not going to argue that Maggie Gyllenhaal is a better Rachel than Holmes is. I mean, that's pretty much a given. Action sequences, pitch perfect. Shot beautifully, incredibly well handled by director Christopher Nolan and cinematographer Wally Pfister. The action sequences are all great. A lot of great tension. It just keeps you on the edge of your seat with every scene. That scene where Rachel gets poisoned by the Scarecrow and Bruce is trying to get her back to the Batcave to come up with to have her get away from fix it, to get the antidote and all that. That's really good tension-filled moments in that movie. The script overall was great. Christopher Nolan, David S. Goyer are doing a fantastic job giving everybody what they want to see in a Batman movie without overdoing it. The music is great. Nothing can ever come close to what Danny Elfman did, but Hans Zimmer and James Newton Howard come pretty damn close with their score. It's an incredible score. There really is not much more I haven't said about this movie that hasn't already been said. It's just an amazing film. Batman Begins did a much better job of rebooting a superhero and changing certain parts of the story of how Batman came to be without letting go of what makes the Batman character such a fascinating character. Also packing on a really great cast that works well off each other, a lot of great action, great characters, great music. It's just a great superhero movie. One of my all-time favorite movies, and the movie that eventually leads into a movie that's very much higher on my list of the best movies of all time, which I've already talked about in full. If you want to go ahead and look for that, just look for the one Batman movie that's not animated on there. I'll just say that. But we'll eventually get to that one on this show we won't get there until 2008 is what I'm trying to say. So yeah, Batman Begins. Now, what movie could possibly have the balls to go up against Batman on that particular weekend? Well, how about a rom-com with Hilary Duff and Heather Locklear? This is The Perfect Man.
Welcome to Parent Night at Brooklyn High. Woman in the back, go ahead.
Have you considered monthly mixers for single parents? It's just that sometimes we single parents have different priorities than married ones. I need to meet a good man.
For Holly and her mom, it's another fresh start in another new city.
You're new here, huh? Yeah, how'd you know?
Following yet another doomed romance.
Uh-oh.
I am so glad that you understand.
It always starts the same. She starts out hopeful, and then she gets desperate, hooks up with some loser.
Great outfit. Where'd you get that? MajorHottie.com?
Comedy. Yeah. That's the butt of the jokes in this movie, folks. So Hilary Duff is teenager Holly Hamilton, who's tired of moving every time her single mother, Jean, played by Heather Locklear, has another personal meltdown involving yet another second-rate guy. To distract her mother from her latest bad choice, Holly conceives the perfect plan for the perfect man, an imaginary secret admirer who will romance Jean and boost her shaky self-esteem. When the virtual relationship takes off, Holly finds herself having to produce the suitor, borrowing her friend's charming and handsome Uncle Ben as the face behind the emails, notes, and gifts. Holly must resort to increasingly desperate measures to keep the ruse alive and protect the mother's newfound happiness, although missing the real perfect man when he does come along. So basically, if you watch the Simpsons episode where Bart had to come up with this whole personality for Mrs. Krabappel to fall in love with in one of the classic Simpsons episodes, it's pretty much that episode there, except it's pretty much that blown up into a movie, except that's much funnier than anything in this movie. And yeah, this is the film I think that really begin the downfall of Hilary Duff's promising career. You know, this is the same director that did The Cinderella Story, which was a decent film, but a lot of good talent involved in this movie, man. Like, not just Hilary Duff, who we've seen can be very talented. Heather Locklear. This was kind of the end of her slow, brief reprisal she had around this time. She was in Looney Tunes Back in Action. She was in Scrubs. She was in Spin City. She was on an NBC show that didn't last very long. I like Mike O'Malley. I mean, I just said that joke of his was not that funny, but Mike O'Malley is such a funny guy. And a much better guy than anybody has any real... he's much better than anyone has any real right to be. Like, this is a guy that can be very, very funny. You see him on Yes Dear, and he's very, very funny. You know, Chris Snow from Sex and the City and Law and Order, he's a good actor. Vanessa Langels can be a very good actress. Caroline Rhea usually is very funny, but there's nothing that anybody here is really given in this movie. There's not really a lot of funny material here, and it just feels like a movie that they made because Hilary Duff and Mark Grossman worked together on Cinderella Story. That was a big hit. So Universal probably thought, just have the same thing. Just don't even worry about a script. We'll just let them work their magic that they did there. But the difference was the Cinderella Story actually did have a good script to work off of. This did not, and it just really hurts the film in the long run because there is a possibility with the people involved in here. There's a really good cast involved, a really good idea maybe if done well. We've seen it done in episodic form with The Simpsons, but doing it in a movie like this, you really need to have a really good script to make this work, and this film just really does not have it, unfortunately, and it's just like, I don't know, like, I wanted a little bit more from it. Most people probably saw it and thought, yeah, this isn't gonna be the movie that I thought we were gonna be, and it wasn't that big of a hit really. It barely made back its $10 million budget, but it barely made double that, like $19.8 million. It was like $200,000 off of what the movie actually cost them, double what the movie cost to make. So it was a little bit of a hit, but even then, nobody remembers this movie. In fact, I had to remember who even made this movie and who else was in it. Like, it's been that long since I know who was involved with this film. Like, overall, yeah, it's just not a good movie in general. It's your typical rom-com with not a whole lot of funny elements to it. Despite a really talented cast, a better director and a better writer could have easily handled this movie in general, but unfortunately, what we got here just isn't worth it in the end. So yeah, this is one you can easily skip. The Perfect Man.
Just when his career hit an all-time low, movie star Jack Wyatt is getting one last shot.
We're going to do a television series, and it's going to be a big hit.
A couple of big names are available for Samantha. I want an unknown in the lead. So, should be fun, huh?
Now, after weeks of searching,
Good.
he's found the perfect witch.
Oh my goodness.
Sorry.
How would you like to be on a television show?
An actress?
Yeah. If I can act, you can act.
Amen.
You know what? I think those people over there just finished their plate of hummus.
But he has no idea just how perfect.
But you are a witch.
She really is.
I am through with just snapping my fingers and getting my way.
No breakfast after 11.
My absolutely last thing.
I need you. Be my TV wife.
Yes.
Yes! Bewitched is being retooled. So it's about me.
He tricked me. He said he needed me. He doesn't understand who he's dealing with.
The line is, it's my dog. It's my dog. I want him back. Action! Where art thou, dog?
What's happening?
Well, if it isn't my spellcasting magical daughter who gave up witchcraft. Oh my god. Where is my dog?
I was provoked.
You shall lick my face and I shall lick your snout.
Hang on.
She's a witch.
Shoo! Shoo! Shoo!
She flies on a broomstick. She can cast spells on things. How does this work? Am I gonna get web feet or grow horns?
Huh?
Am I gonna get pregnant? Because I cannot get pregnant right now.
Bewitched.
I'm Darren. They replaced Darren on the original Bewitched, and no one noticed. I'm Darren. How did this happen?
I should rephrase that, because this is not a remake of Bewitched. This isn't like The Honeymooners, where it's just a straightforward adaptation of the television series, but that's what actually kind of makes it stand out on its own. But here's the story here. Out in California's San Fernando Valley, Isabel, played by Nicole Kidman, is trying to reinvent herself. A naive, good-natured witch, she is determined to disavow her supernatural powers and lead a normal life. At the same time, across town, Jack Wyatt, played by Will Ferrell, a tall, charming actor, is trying to get his career back on track. He sets his sights on an updated version of the beloved situation comedy Bewitched, we conceived as a starring vehicle for him in the role of the mere mortal Darren. Fate steps in when Jack accidentally runs into Isabel. He is immediately attached to her and her nose, which bears an uncanny resemblance to the nose of Elizabeth Montgomery, who played Samantha on Bewitched. He becomes convinced she could play Samantha in the new series. However, Isabel is also taken with Jack as well, seeing him as the quintessential mortal man with whom she can settle down with, and lead the normal life she so desires. And it turns out they're both right, but in ways neither of them could ever imagine. Now, what makes this movie so unique is that it's not a straightforward adaptation of the TV series. It's a movie that has some of the feels of the original series, but in a story that feels very fresh and different compared to most TV adaptations. Like, this is a movie not about the making of not about Bewitched itself, but the making of a Bewitched TV show in which the actress who's playing Samantha is a real witch, and you find out in the movie that Bewitched is forbidden by witches for obvious reasons. But this movie got thrashed by critics. Like, it was really panned by critics when it came out. It was a film that, according to Rotten Tomatoes, called it a film that's haunted by scattered laughs and a lack of direction. The New York Times called it an unmitigated disaster. Australian critics gave it 3.5. Actually, that's a policy review right there. I'm reading off Wikipedia, as you can tell. The film also was not seen as a big hit either. It was seen as a flop at the box office, even though it did make back its $85 million budget, making $130 million worldwide, but it didn't meet the expectations that Sony Pictures had in mind, and especially with the cast that includes Nicole Kidman and Will Ferrell, not to mention the star power of Shirley MacLaine, Michael Caine, Jason Schwartzman, Kristen Chenoweth, who actually made her film debut in this movie. I love Kristen Chenoweth, from Wicked, everything that she's in, even if it's a bad movie, I'm there because of her, because of that singing voice, and just, she's just such a fun, entertaining person I see in a lot of things, and just, this is her film debut. Heather Burns from Miss Congeniality, Stephen Colbert is in here, David Alan Grier, Michael Badalucco, Steve Carell playing Paul Lynde in this movie, which is really funny. The movie really is a lot better than I think people let on. It's a film that I think is so much better than people give it credit for. It's a clever idea. We're not going to remake Bewitched. We're going to make a movie about the making of a Bewitched reboot, but instead of having them doing the same plot from the movie, from the series, we're going to have a movie where the witch actually is a real witch. And I think that's a funny, clever idea. And it has a lot of great elements to it. Does every joke work? No. The one thing everyone takes away from this movie, the joke that everyone is like, here's the groaner right here, when Nicole Kidman tells them, guess what, I'm a witch, and Will Ferrell's just like, well, guess what, I'm a Clippers fan, which leads to one of Family Guy's most hilarious scenes, where Stewie basically spends about almost 5 minutes going from Boston to California to do nothing but punch Will Ferrell and tell him that's not funny. And I'm saying it here because, why should I even say it? I'll just let the clip play for itself.
Guess what? I'm a witch.
Guess what? I'm a Clippers fan.
Mm-hmm.
All ticketed passengers for flight 2378 to Reno, Nevada. At the gate.
Hello? That's not funny!
I mean, yeah, that's the best example of Family Guy stretching something out to lead to a payoff that leads to a very funny moment. The fact that Stewie goes all the way from Quahog all the way to California, pays for an airplane ticket, has someone orders limo service, goes to a hardware store, picks up a ladder, somehow just easily walks into Will Ferrell's home, knocks on the door, punches him, and says, that's not funny. It's just like, my mission's accomplished, I'm gone. Like, that's funnier than the actual joke itself. Not every joke in the movie works, but I really like this movie a lot, and I like it because of the clever idea of how to do this as a movie. It's not remaking the TV series again. It's not pulling a Honeymooners. It's not pulling a Dukes of Hazzard, which we'll get to in a little bit, in a couple of weeks from now. But it's a movie that really does feel like it's trying to do something new and different. Nora Ephron is a great director. We've seen her. We've talked about her works before. Very rarely does she miss as a director. She's made a couple of movies that weren't great. Stuff like This Is My Life, Mixed Nuts, Lucky Numbers, but this is the woman that made Sleepless in Seattle. This is the woman that made You Got Mail. She made Julie and Julia. She wrote stuff like Silkwood, When Harry Met Sally. the work speaks for itself, and she's putting her all into it. She's not just doing this because, you know, we need a big name director here, and we can get Nora Ephron because she's a big name director. No, she's actually putting her all into this, trying to give us something new and different, and it works. I think it's very funny. I think it's very clever. I think it's a very interesting way to do a movie like this. Like, it's not a straightforward remake of the television series. It's a film that's trying to do something very different, very style. It very much stands out compared to the original series, and I think it works for the most part. Not Every Joke works. It does have that moment where we have to have the whole third act breakup type of thing, which does get stale really, really fast. But I really like this movie a lot. Everybody gives it a bad rap because it was a flop back then. Most people thought that Will Ferrell's career was pretty much dead and done for with this. But Will Ferrell had 2 really good movies in 2005 that people don't really give the proper credit. 3 movies, the more I think about it. Melinda and Melinda is a great film. We talked about Kicking and Screaming not too long ago, which is a really good movie. And this is a really fun film, too. It's probably the lesser of the 3 films I mentioned, but it's still a really good movie. It's still a fun film. It's a fun idea. It's a great idea, taking this concept and not just doing the same thing we've seen done to death so many times in movies, in shows. It's like we just saw with The Honeymoons. It's something completely different. It's trying to do something that's not just a remake of the TV show, and I think it works because of that. I like the risk that it takes. It didn't work for everybody, but I do hope that this film has gone on to have some kind of cult following to it, and it kind of has, because you see it every once in a while on, Freeform's 31 Nights of Halloween. I've seen it the last couple of years on there, which hopefully that means this is getting more of a rapport with people, and it is becoming that movie that everyone realizes that, hey, this movie actually isn't as bad as people are making it out to be. And I hope I can get that message across YouTube, because it is a really good movie. It's a fun film. You do get a lot of good laughs in here. Not every joke works. Not everything about the film works in general. I like the chemistry between Will Ferrell and Nicole Kidman. I think Michael Caine's very fun in here. Shirley MacLaine has a nice role in here. It's got a strong cast overall to make it work, and the great writing of Nora Ephron. It's a really good movie. One that I do recommend checking out. It's one that definitely deserves a reappraisal, and I hope my review for it gives you a sense that you should give it another shot, because it is indeed worth the watch. I highly recommend it, Bewitched. So with that said, let's move on to the next movie we have here, and that is Herbie Fully Loaded, starring Lindsay Lohan, and the return of the famous Herbie the Love Bug.
There is a legend with mysterious powers and a magical past. And when a family's in trouble,
I'm totally fine.
yes, that means he's not totally fine. The one person who needs him most,
I didn't know that you took out another mortgage on the house.
is about to unlock his secret.
Please take care of Herbie. Whatever your problem, we'll help you find the answer. Great. Fortune cookie on wheels.
On June 24th,
What's going on?
Herbie's magic will be unleashed on the world.
Let's get more horsepower than I expected.
He's stronger.
I'm gonna wipe that bum off my windshield!
That's harsh. He's faster.
Let's race.
He's Herbier.
Herbie.
And it's all good under the hood.
This car just winked at me. You feeling okay?
From Walt Disney Pictures to save her family.
You're not getting behind the wheel of that car.
Dad, I'm a Peyton. Racing is in my blood.
Two unlikely partners
Can you do this thing?
are gonna make the whole world believe. Lindsay Lohan,
It's like we're connected or something.
Herbie is a car. With Matt Dillon.
Let's see what makes you tick. What's happening now? There's nothing ordinary about this bug.
And Michael Keaton.
Oh, Maggie, what's your gas?
And introducing the tricked out, wrapped up, and all new Herbie.
That car's alive! It's working me! Look! It's doing it again!
Herbie, fully loaded.
first of all, that title, did you not think that people are going to look at that title and, you know, just say that you set yourself up for jokes about how bad it ends up being? I've seen jokes with this title, you know, everyone says like Herbie fully loaded. Well, I'm sure it's fully loaded with something, and of course, maybe one of the few Mind of Mencia jokes that actually made me laugh out loud was when they had the trailer announcer guy going on there talking about Herbie fully loaded. It's fully loaded with shit, and it's got kind of that bad reputation as far as critics go. But when you look back on it, it actually didn't get bad reviews in general. And in fact, when you know people who like the Herbie movies in general, most of them are very positive about the movie in general, and the film was a success, so it wasn't a flop by any means necessary. But for most people, it was a film that everyone kind of said that most people back then, like most people thought it wasn't that good of a movie. But honestly, it's interesting because I went back to watch this movie again not too long ago to get ready for this, and I mean I liked it when I first saw it, but as time went on, I kind of forgotten about it. But honestly, you might be kind of surprised what I have to say about it, because it actually isn't that bad of a film. So in the film, you have Lindsay Lohan playing Maggie Payton, who's the new owner of number 53, the free-wielding Volkswagen Bug with a mind of its own, that is, of course, Herbie. She puts the car through its paces on the road to become a NASCAR competitor. As a third-generation member of a NASCAR family, racing is in Maggie Payton's blood, but her overprotective father, played by Michael Keaton, forbids her to pursue her dream. When Ray Sr. offers Maggie a car as a college graduation present, he takes her to a junkyard to choose one from an assortment of very used cars. Maggie has her eyes on an old Nissan, but a certain rusty, banged-up 63 Volkswagen Bug seems to be clamoring for her attention. To her surprise, Maggie leaves the lot with Herbie. As she prepares to leave town for a position with ESPN News, Maggie discovers that Herbie has a mind of his own, and an alternative route for her future. And for Lindsay Lohan, kind of like with Will Ferrell in Bewitched, some people thought that this was going to be the end of the road for Lindsay Lohan's career because, you know, she was in Freaky Friday, she was in Mean Girls, everyone thought she was going to be the next big superstar. Then this movie comes out and doesn't really perform as well as they expected it to, and then it kind of led to Lindsay Lohan's downfall a little bit with stuff like Just My Luck, and then the infamous I Know Who Killed Me, which we'll get to in as the time goes on. Watching this movie again, I have to be honest with you, I found a lot more to like about this movie than I did that I didn't like about it. Now, don't get me wrong. It's a Herbie movie. The Herbie movies are silly, stupid, but fun. That's the magic of those Herbie movies, is that they're ridiculous. They're classic Disney live-action movies that aren't trying to have like this big message behind them. You know, it's not trying to be this movie where it's supposed to be like a deep emotional ride, but you feel for Herbie the Love Bug when you watch those movies, though. That's the beauty of this movie. This car does not talk, but at the same time, it's got a mind of its own, and and it works because, like, you feel invested in the character so much because he just has that personality to him. It's like when you watch Wallace and Gromit or Shaun the Sheep, those Aardman shows, shorts and movies where the characters don't talk, but because they're not talking, you still get a sense that you still get more enjoyment out of them because they have a mind of their own when they don't have to open their mouths. And Herbie is a perfect example of that, can be in that category as well. This is directed by Angela Robinson. We already talked about one of her movies earlier in the year with Debs, which was a film I didn't really like, but this is probably her overall best film as a director. And she also did a Wonder Woman movie that came out around the same time as Wonder Woman with Gal Gadot, which was a movie about the creator of Wonder Woman and this threesome relationship he kind of has, which it's a weird movie in general. But this is like I said, it's overall her best movie. Plus, you also got a script by Tom Lennon and Robert Ben Garant from Reno 911, and Alfred Gould and Miles Millar, who have written a lot of great stuff. Smallville, they just recently wrote Beetlejuice. I mean, they've written a lot of stuff that you've seen before. There's good writers involved in here, and they all understand what they're trying to do here. They're not trying to make a deep, thought-provoking movie about Herbie the Love Bug. Like, they know the Herbie movies are silly, guilty pleasure fun. And this is a silly, guilty pleasure fun movie. Not everything about it works. As you see in the trailer there's CG shots with Herbie that feel very, very out of place. I'm not even going to lie to you. When I saw that again in the trailer, it was just like, man, that does not look like it aged well at all. And it does not age well at all in the film. But again, kind of like with Bewitched, they have a strong cast that can make it work. Lindsay Lohan is good in the movie. You know, Matt Dillon is a fun character in this film. Michael Keaton is very good. You know, what can you say about him? Justin Long, Breckin Meyer, Cheryl Hines, Tom Lennon, Jimmy Simpson, Joe Ritchie. A lot of good talent is involved in this movie in general, and the film overall does exactly what it promises. For kids, they're going to love the hell out of this. And for people that grew up with the original Herbie movies, you can still find a lot to admire about the films in general. I personally didn't grow up with the Herbie movies, but I get why the character has longevity to him. I get why people still have this soft spot for him. They even tried to redo Herbie in the 90s with Bruce Campbell in it, which did not end up doing well whatsoever. It was a one-off TV movie, and then it never went anywhere. But, I mean, the movie actually is decent. I'm not going to say it's a great movie per se, but it's a fun, decent movie that knows exactly who it's trying to be tailored to. It's not trying to do anything crazy or do anything, like, unique and different, like most of the other, it's like the other Herbie movies. It's like a silly, fun film that's not trying to be anything smart or anything too ingenious. It just wants you to go in, turn your brain off, have a good time. It's good, harmless fun. And it does work on that level. Not everything about it works. The jokes can be kind of lame. The comedy doesn't really work that well sometimes. But I like the film a lot. I think it is a decently made, fun film in general. If you go into it with the right mindset. I was really surprised at how much I kind of enjoyed this movie again after not seeing it for nearly 20 years. But, yeah, I thought it was fun. It's a fun movie. Not a great film. Not anything too grand, epic or spectacular, but a good fun time. If you go into it with the right mindset, you can have a good time with it. If you like the other Herbie movies, you're going to find a lot to admire about Herbie Fully Loaded, honestly. So yeah, that's my thoughts on Herbie Fully Loaded. So let's go ahead and move on to the next movie we have here, and that is George A. Romero's return to the genre that he created, the zombie genre, as he presents the latest installment of the Dead series. This is George A. Romero's Land of the Dead.
Coming to get you, Barbara.
The unburied dead are coming back to life and seeking human victims. We don't know how many of them there are. Do you think we'll be able to defeat these things? We don't really know.
Toward the city.
There's nothing there, man.
They're communicating. They're thinking.
George A. Romero's Land of the Dead.
Zombies, man.
You creep me out.
They're everywhere, man. Like, I'm sorry, Dennis Hopper looks like he's high off his ass when he says that line. That's one of those lines I always remember from the end of the trailer. I'm thinking to myself, what kind of shrooms are you smoking there, Dennis? But fun fact, Big Daddy Zombie there, Eugene Clark. He's actually shown up at Steel City Con a couple of times over the last couple of years, and he's always been like at various tables, and he was actually in our row this last show, which I don't know if he's going to be there this time around in that row this time around, but he's always at the Comic Cons, and he seems like a cool dude, but he's always wearing that makeup all the time, and he's always like, it's like people whenever they want a picture, he'll like what he did this time. He'll be screaming out loud like he's actually in the movie. Like, you know, we'll just be talking to customers, and then all of a sudden he'll be like, "Rah!" Like, we're wondering where's that coming from, and it's just like that's Eugene Clark over there. And I mean, I've never really gotten a chance to talk to him, but seems like a cool dude. But I just wanted to bring that up because I always see that guy at the Comic Cons. What that I do here, but back to the subject at hand. Land of the Dead. This is the fourth of George A. Romero's 6 Living Dead movies, of course, following Night of the Living Dead, Dawn of the Dead, and Day of the Dead. And in this movie, it deals with a zombie assault on Pittsburgh, of course, where a feudal-like government exists. The survivors in the film have fled to the Golden Triangle area of downtown. The region is protected on 2 sides of the river and on the third by an electric barricade that survivors term the Throat. And, look, nothing's really ever going to top what Dawn of the Dead did. I think Dawn of the Dead is the central zombie movie from this series. Like, Night of the Living Dead is great. Day of the Dead is a good follow-up to Dawn of the Dead, but nothing will ever top what George A. Romero did with the original Dawn of the Dead. Although Zack Snyder's Dawn of the Dead was pretty good. And I got the feeling that this movie was made because of George A. Romero's initial dislike of the Zack Snyder remake. Because if I remember right, he did not like Zack Snyder's Dawn of the Dead remake. Yeah, he was not an initial fan of the movie when it came out, which I think this was kind of his answer to that. It's just like, okay, if Zack Snyder's going to remake my movie, I'm just going to go ahead and make another one. And, yeah, definitely not as good as Dawn of the Dead, but still a really good movie. It's got that atmospheric tone you expect from a movie like this. The zombie work, well done. The zombies are really cool to see. A good cast that includes Simon Baker, Dennis Hopper, John Leguizamo, Asia Argento. And it's just a really cool-looking film. And it's really amazing how the Zack Snyder Dawn of the Dead led to this movie getting made, because it shows that George A. Romero still had it. Like, he still has what it takes to make a great zombie movie in general. And then he kind of ruined it with Diary of the Dead and Survival of the Dead, which were not great, which were definitely the weakest of the Dead movies. It felt like he was really latching himself onto this so long that it got to the point where it just really got to a point where it just felt like, okay, you're really stepping over your boundaries here. It's kind of like with Ridley Scott with Prometheus and Alien Covenant. It's just like, we get it. You made some of the most influential movies of our time, but you trying to go back to it, and we expect so much bit more from you instead of just going back and just tracing your steps again. But this movie did not feel like that at all. Land of the Dead is a very cool, gritty-looking film that takes this movie back to what George A. Romero wanted to do with the original zombie movies in general. Like, it's a movie where you feel the atmosphere, you feel the tension, you feel all the effort being put in here, from the visuals, the style of the film, the casting, the zombies alone. It's just a really fun film in general. It's a really great movie, very atmospheric, very, very well made. It's everything you could ask for in a good George A. Romero zombie movie. Like I said, not as good as Dawn of the Dead, but that's a hard hill to top. And this movie would have been needed to be downright near perfect in order to do that. And it doesn't do that, but it's still a really fun film. I do recommend it a lot. Land of the Dead is a great film. So with that said, let's go ahead and move on to our last movie, which is Morgan Freeman narrating the story of The March of the Penguins.
There is a mysterious ritual that dates back thousands of years. No living creature has survived it, except the penguin. They have wings, but cannot fly. They're birds that think they're fish. And every year, they embark on a nearly impossible journey to find a mate.
Just how the hell did this movie become the hit that it was? Because it's funny, because the year before, this same weekend, we had Fahrenheit 9/11, which went on to become the most successful documentary film ever made. This movie was the second highly successful one, only behind that movie, making $77 million. A movie that is nothing but watching these penguins, with the voice of Morgan Freeman in the background telling you all about them. This is a documentary about the yearly journey of the emperor penguins of Antarctica. In autumn, all the penguins of breeding age, 5 years old or over, leave the ocean, which is their normal habitat, to walk inland to their ancestral burial grounds. There, the penguins participate in a courtship that, if successful, results in the hatching of a chick. For the chick to survive, both parents must make multiple arduous journeys between the oceans and the breeding grounds over the ensuing months. And, of course, you have Morgan Freeman doing the narration for it. I don't know why this movie was a success, but it works. It's a movie that I think I figured it out. I think this movie succeeded because it's an idea that does not feel like a film that should be a massive commercial success, but it's very simplistic, and a voice like Morgan Freeman's is able to narrating the story and keeping the audience in check of what's going on here. It really helps the film overall. It really does carry the film to this level where this movie becomes so much more than you could have possibly imagined. Like, when I saw this for the first time, I had no idea what I was going into here. I just heard that it was a massive success, and I really didn't know how to feel about it. But as time has gone on, the genius of this movie is that it's a very simplistic story told by one of the greatest actors of all time. And you like it because you like these penguins. You can tell that they're really there. This isn't a film that's just using CG penguins or anything. This feels like it's really happening, and it feels like and it's a story that feels like you really it really does keep you. It captivates you. It keeps you invested in what's going on here, and it's just an intriguing film. A film that I had no intentions on believing it would ever work, and yet somehow it did. It went on to become a massive success, led to all these different Penguin movies coming out. Like, there was a literal 2-year stretch where we had like 6 different movies with penguins involved in it, to the point where even in the Simpsons movie, they had to make fun of the penguin trend with Grand Theft Walrus, where you have this walrus in this Grand Theft Auto world, and this penguin's tap dancing, and all of a sudden, then the walrus brings out an AK-47, and shoots the penguin through the glass, and like, that was a fun little answer to what was going on there, because we had so many different penguin movies. Like, there was Madagascar, which we talked about, Happy Feet, Surf's Up, the spoof Farce of the Penguins, directed by Bob Saget. I mean, there were so many different penguin movies coming out of that time. It's just like we for some reason just wanted to see more penguins on screen because of what March of the Penguins did. Then again, Happy Feet also probably played a huge part in it too, but yeah, overall, it's a great movie. It's a really good documentary that really does keep you invested in something that should not be as engaging as it is, but it's one of those lightning in a bottle moments, man. Like, it's one of those things where, yeah, it's going to happen once, but then when you try to copy it, it's not going to have that same effect. I know Disney Nature was essentially created because of how successful this movie was, and a lot of those Disney Nature documentaries are fine, but they don't have the lasting appeal of something like March of the Penguins does. Like, there's just that spontaneity about it, just that lightning in a bottle moment that's going to be really hard to really top. And I don't think any documentary of this caliber has been able to do that since then, honestly. But, yeah, it's a really good film. It's a film that I would say, yeah, it looks like a standard Penguin documentary, but because of what Morgan Freeman brings to it and what they're doing in terms of creating a story around it, it just keeps you invested in it, and it becomes that movie that is indeed well worth the watch. It's a film that is really engaging, really interesting on a number of different levels. It's a movie that really surprised me on how good it really was. So, yeah, and people bought into it, and I can see why. So definitely check it out, March of the Penguins.